Most people think life feels heavy because of problems. That's not true. Life feels heavy because we carry everything twice. Once when it happens, and again every day in our mind. There is one habit, just one, that decides whether life feels like a burden or a blessing. Not money, not motivation, not luck. A habit so small yet so powerful. It can change how you wake up, how you work, and how you sleep. Let me show you what it is. The first key point is learning to stop arguing with reality, because most of the exhaustion you feel is not coming from what happened, but from the silent fight you keep having with it inside your head. Something happens, and instead of dealing with it, you immediately start saying, "This shouldn't be this way." That single sentence becomes a weight. Reality has already moved on, but your mind stays behind, pulling again. It's like a rope tied to a train that has already left the station. You feel tired, not because life is cruel, but because you are trying to rewrite what has already been written. The moment you notice this inner argument, you begin to see how much energy you have been donating to a battle that cannot be won. When you resist reality, you don't change the event, you only change your inner state. The rain does not stop because you complain about it, but your peace definitely does. Many people think acceptance means approval, but that misunderstanding keeps them trapped. Acceptance simply means you stop bleeding internally over facts that will not change. Think of reality like gravity. You can curse it, ignore it, or fight it, but it will still be there. The habit that lightens life is not pretending everything is fine. It is acknowledging what is real without turning it into a personal attack on yourself. The moment you stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "This is where I am," something inside you softens. There is a strange strength that appears when you stop resisting. It's like unclenching your fist after holding it tight for hours. You didn't realize how tense you were until you let go. Resistance keeps your nervous system on constant alert, as if life is always about to betray you again. Acceptance tells your body, "I see what's happening, and I can handle this." That message alone changes how you breathe, how you think, how you move forward. You stop wasting energy on denial and start directing it toward response. Life becomes lighter not because the load is gone, but because you are no longer carrying it with anger and frustration attached. Many people live as if acceptance means giving up, but the opposite is true. When you don't accept reality, you are stuck reacting emotionally. When you accept it, you gain the space to respond intelligently. Imagine trying to clean a room while shouting about how messy it is. The noise slows you down. Acceptance is the silence that allows action. Once you stop arguing with what is, your mind becomes clear enough to see what can be done next. You stop fighting the floor beneath your feet and start choosing the direction of your steps. That clarity is not loud or dramatic. It is calm, steady, and deeply empowering. There is also a hidden arrogance in resistance that most people don't notice. The belief that life should have followed your exact expectations, that people should have behaved according to your script, that timing should have matched your plans. When reality doesn't cooperate, the ego feels insulted. Acceptance humbles that ego, not by shrinking you, but by aligning you with how life actually works. Life is not here to obey you, it is here to teach you. The moment you accept that, you stop taking everything personally. Events become experiences, not verdicts on your worth. Acceptance does not remove pain, but it removes unnecessary suffering. Pain says, "This hurts." Suffering says, "This should not be happening to me." One is natural, the other is optional. When you accept reality, you allow pain to pass through instead of setting up camp inside you. You feel it, you learn from it, and you let it move on. Resistance traps pain in loops. Acceptance gives it an exit. This is why people who accept difficult moments often look calm on the outside. Not because they feel nothing, but because they are not fighting themselves while feeling it. As this habit deepens, you begin to notice something subtle but powerful. Life starts meeting you with less friction. Not because it has become easier, but because you are no longer stiff against it. Like water flowing around rocks, instead of trying to break them, your energy moves forward instead of being blocked. You stop asking life to rewind and start asking yourself how to move wisely from here. That single shift changes how heavy each day feels because you are finally walking with reality instead of dragging it behind you. The second key point is learning to drop the habit of mental replays, because the mind has a strange addiction to reopening doors that life has already closed. Something ends, something breaks, something goes wrong. Yet the mind keeps walking back into that moment as if there is still something new to find there. You replay the words, the tone, the timing, the look on someone's face. Each replay feels useful, like you are solving a puzzle. But most of the time you are only sharpening the pain. The event happened once, but the suffering happens again and again. Each time you press play inside your head without realizing. You are the one holding the remote. Your mind does not replay memories to heal you. It replays them to stay familiar. Even pain becomes comfortable when it is known. The mind would rather return to a known hurt than step into an unknown calm. That is why you find yourself thinking about things you claim you want to forget. It's not weakness, it's habit. The mind learned that revisiting the past feels safer than trusting the present. But safety and peace are not the same thing. One keeps you alert and tense, the other allows you to breathe. Until you see this clearly, you will keep mistaking mental noise for awareness. Every replay quietly steals your attention from the moment you are in. Your body is sitting here, but your mind is standing somewhere else, arguing with ghosts. That split creates a constant low-level exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. You wake up tired not because you didn't rest, but because your mind worked overtime. All night, traveling back and forth through moments that cannot respond anymore. The habit that lightens life begins when you notice this drift and gently bring yourself back. Not with force, not with anger, just with awareness. You start realizing that the present moment does not demand explanation, defense, or replay. It only asks to be lived. There is a difference between reflection and replay, and most people confuse the two. Reflection is brief and purposeful. It asks, "What can I learn?" And then it leaves. Replay asks, "What if?" and never stops asking. One builds wisdom, the other builds anxiety. When you replay, you are not learning, you are reliving. The body reacts as if the event is happening again, tightening your chest, shortening your breath, draining your energy. You think you are thinking, but you are actually reacting. The habit of a lighter life is learning when to close the notebook instead of rereading the same page until the words blur. Letting go of mental replays does not mean erasing memory. It means changing your relationship with it. Memories are meant to inform you, not imprison you. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones you pick up from every painful moment. Each one feels small when you pick it up, but over time the weight bends your posture. Dropping mental replays is learning to put those stones down, not because they didn't matter, but because you don't need to carry them everywhere. The past can stay where it belongs, without being dragged into every new moment like unfinished luggage. At first, releasing replays can feel uncomfortable, even scary. The mind resists silence because it is used to constant commentary. When you stop replaying, there is a gap, and in that gap, you feel exposed. But that space is not emptiness, it is freedom learning to exist. Slowly, you begin to notice small things again. The way light enters a room, the steadiness of your breath, the quiet strength in simply being present. These are not dramatic changes, but they are deeply grounding. You start living life once instead of many times in your head. The more you practice this habit, the more you understand that not every thought deserves your attention. Thoughts come and go like people passing by on a street. You don't invite every passerby into your home. You acknowledge them and let them move on. Mental replays lose power when you stop treating them like emergencies. You begin to see them as old recordings, not live events. And when you stop feeding them with emotion, they naturally fade. Not all at once, but steadily, like a sound lowering in volume until it becomes background noise. As this habit strengthens, something subtle shifts inside you. You feel more available to your own life. Conversations feel deeper. Decisions feel clearer. Your energy stops leaking into the past and starts collecting in the present. You no longer need to relive old moments to understand yourself. You understand yourself by how you show up now. The mind learns that it doesn't have to keep returning to what hurt in order to protect you. It begins to trust that you are capable of moving forward without dragging yesterday into today. The third key point is choosing progress over perfection, because perfection quietly drains more energy than failure ever could. Perfecti on promises control, but it delivers pressure. It tells you that you must get everything right before you are allowed to feel calm, proud, or at peace. So you keep adjusting, delaying, fixing, waiting. You wait to start until conditions feel ideal. You wait to speak until words feel flawless. You wait to move until fear disappears. And while you wait, life keeps moving without you. Progress, on the other hand, asks only one thing: show up and take the next honest step. Even if it's messy, perfection creates a heavy way of living. Every action feels like it is being judged before it even happens. You carry the weight of imagined standards that no one officially set, yet you feel punished for not meeting them. Progress feels lighter because it allows room for being human. It accepts that growth looks uneven, that effort can be clumsy, and that learning often happens through mistakes. When you choose progress, you stop asking, "Is this good enough?" and start asking, "Is this moving me forward?" That small shift changes how you experience your days. Many people don't realize that perfection is often just fear dressed up as discipline. Fear of being seen, fear of being wrong, fear of being judged. So you polish and prepare and overthink, hoping that perfection will protect you from discomfort. But it never does. It only delays it. Progress asks you to walk with discomfort instead of hiding from it. It teaches you that confidence is built through action, not preparation. Each perfect step strengthens you more than a perfect plan ever could. Momentum, not mastery, is what creates change. Progress also changes how you speak to yourself. Perfection uses harsh language. It points out flaws. It magnifies what's missing. Progress uses honest language. It notices effort. It respects improvement. It says, "You're not there yet, but you're closer than yesterday." That kind of self-talk doesn't make you lazy. It makes you resilient. You don't shut down after small setbacks because you're not chasing an unrealistic finish line. You're building something real, step by step, without demanding instant excellence. From yourself, when you let go of perfection, time itself feels different. You stop rushing and stop freezing at the same time. You move at a steady pace because you're no longer obsessed with how fast or how flawlessly things are unfolding. You trust that consistency compounds quietly. Like water shaping stone, progress works through repetition, not force. Small actions, repeated daily, carry a calm power. They don't announce themselves, they simply work. And one day, you look back and realize how far you've come without feeling like you were constantly at war with yourself. Choosing progress also frees you from comparison. Perfection loves to compare because it is always measuring. Progress doesn't need to. It knows that your path is shaped by your timing, your struggles, your strengths. When you focus on progress, you stop asking whether someone else is ahead of you. You ask whether you are more aware, more disciplined, or more grounded than you were before. That internal reference point keeps your energy intact. You move forward without draining yourself by watching everyone else run. As this habit settles in, you begin to trust movement over mood. You don't wait to feel confident to act. You act. And confidence follows quietly. You don't wait to feel ready. You let readiness grow through experience. Progress teaches you that life does not reward hesitation, dressed as preparation. It responds to sincere effort, even when it's imperfect. And with each step forward, the weight you used to feel from overthinking and self-pressure begins to lift, replaced by a steady sense of direction that feels sustainable, calm, and real. The fourth key point is reducing the need to be understood, because nothing drains your energy faster than trying to explain your soul to people who are not listening with their heart. You replay conversations in your head, thinking of better words, clearer examples, strong explanations, hoping that if you just say it right, they will finally get you. But the truth is, understanding is not created by perfect language, it is created by willingness. And when that willingness is missing, No amount of explaining will fill the gap. The habit that lightens life begins when you stop chasing validation from places that cannot give it. Many people don't realize how much of their mental weight comes from this quiet craving. Please see me the way I see myself. You want your intentions to be recognized, your efforts to be acknowledged, your struggles to be understood. That desire is human, but when it turns into a need, it becomes a burden. You start shaping your words to fit other people's comfort. You edit your truth so it sounds more acceptable. Over time, you feel tired. Not because you are fake, but because you are constantly translating yourself instead of being yourself. The relief comes when you accept that not everyone has the capacity to understand you, and that does not reduce your value. There is a deep freedom in realizing that misunderstanding does not mean misalignment with truth. Someone can misunderstand you and still be wrong about you. Their perception is shaped by their experiences, their fears, their limits. When you stop taking misunderstanding as a personal failure, you stop carrying shame that was never yours. You learn to stand calmly in who you are without demanding agreement. Like a tree that doesn't argue with the wind about its shape, you stay rooted while others interpret you however they want. That rootedness is quiet strength. The need to be understood often comes from a fear of being alone in your experience. You think, if they don't get me, I'm isolated. But the truth is, self-understanding creates inner companionship. When you know why you chose a path, when you are clear about your values, when you trust your intentions, you don't feel abandoned just because someone disagrees or misreads you. You become your own witness. That inner validation reduces the urge to defend yourself in every conversation. Silence becomes comfortable instead of threatening. Letting go of the need to be understood does not mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means becoming selective. You stop explaining yourself to everyone and start sharing yourself with those who have earned access. You recognize that not every space is safe for your truth, and that's okay. Just like you wouldn't leave your door open to every stranger, you don't open your inner world to every opinion. This selectiveness protects your energy. You speak when it matters, not when you feel pressured. There is also a subtle power shift that happens when you stop over-explaining. Your words become cleaner. Your presence becomes steadier. You no longer rush to fill silence with justification. You say what is true and you let it land where it lands. People may still misunderstand you, but you don't chase them down to correct the story. You trust that those who are meant to understand you will feel it without needing a full explanation. That trust removes a heavy emotional load you didn't know you were carrying. As this habit grows, you notice a quiet confidence forming. You don't need applause to feel grounded. You don't need agreement to feel secure. You move through life less reactive, less defensive, more centered. When someone questions you, it doesn't shake you the way it used to. When someone misunderstands you, it doesn't keep you awake at night. You know who you are, why you act the way you do, and where you are headed. That inner clarity becomes your anchor, allowing you to walk lighter, speak calmer, and live with less emotional noise around you. The fifth key point is detaching from outcomes while committing fully to effort, because most of the stress you carry comes from trying to control endings that are not in your hands. You work hard, you show up, you care deeply, and yet your peace rises and falls based on results you cannot fully predict. One day you feel hopeful, the next day defeated, not because your effort changed, but because the outcome did. This constant emotional swing exhausts you. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop tying your self-worth to how life responds to your effort. When you focus too much on outcomes, the present moment becomes a waiting room. You are never fully here. You are always leaning forward, checking the future for signs of approval. Did it work? Did they notice? Will this pay off? That future-focused tension pulls your energy out of what you are actually doing. Effort becomes rushed. Joy becomes conditional. Detaching from outcomes brings you back into the work itself. You begin to see are about the quality of your actions, not the applause that might follow. There is a quiet satisfaction in doing something well, even when no one is watching. Detachment also protects you from fear. When results matter more than effort, fear sneaks in and starts whispering, "What if it fails? What if I look foolish? What if it doesn't work out the way I imagined? These thoughts tighten your body and narrow your choices. You start playing safe, not because it's wise, but because it feels safer emotionally. Commitment to effort, without obsession over outcomes, frees you to act with honesty. You take risks that align with your values, not with guaranteed success. You move with courage instead of calculation. There is a deep calm that comes from knowing you gave your best, regardless of how things turn out. That calm cannot be taken away by rejection, delay, or change. When effort is your focus, you walk away from situations without regret. You don't replay conversations, wondering what you should have done differently. You know you showed up fully. That sense of inner completion is rare but powerful. It allows you to rest without second-guessing yourself. Outcomes may change, but integrity remains steady. Many people confuse detachment with indifference, but they are opposites. Indifference is not caring enough to try. Detachment is caring enough to give your best, then releasing the need to control the result. Think of planting a seed. You prepare the soil, you water it, you protect it. But you do not stand over it demanding it grow faster. You trust the process. Detachment is that trust. It respects timing. It respects factors beyond your control. It keeps you engaged without being consumed. As you practice this habit, your emotional life becomes more stable. Success feels fulfilling, not intoxicating. Failure feels instructive, not crushing. You stop riding emotional highs and lows tied to external validation. Instead, you feel a steady sense of purpose. You measure your days by sincerity, not by wins. That stability is what makes life feel lighter. You are no longer at the mercy of every outcome. You remain centered whether things go your way or not. Over time, this mindset changes how you move through challenges. You stop asking, will this work? And start asking, is this worth my effort? That question is grounding. It puts choice back in your hands. You invest your energy where it aligns with your values, not just where results seem promising. You trust that effort done with honesty has its own quiet reward. And in that trust, the pressure to control life loosens, allowing you to work hard, breathe deeper, and walk forward with less weight on your heart. The sixth key point is learning to speak kindly to yourself, because the longest conversation you will ever have is the one happening silently in your own mind. Long after people stop talking, judging, or criticizing, that inner voice keeps going. It comments on your mistakes, questions your choices, reminds you of what you didn't do well enough. Over time, you start believing that voice is the truth, when in reality, it is just a habit formed from past experiences, expectations, and fear. Life feels heavier when your own mind becomes a place you don't want to sit with. Most people would never speak to a close friend the way they speak to themselves. You stumble once, and a voice says you always mess things up. You get tired, and it calls you weak. You slow down, and it accuses you of falling behind. These words don't motivate you, they exhaust you. Harsh self-talk doesn't make you stronger. It makes you tense. Like driving with the brakes slightly on, you move forward, but everything feels harder than it needs to be. Kind self-talk is not lying to yourself. It is choosing language that supports growth instead of punishment. Speaking kindly to yourself does not mean ignoring responsibility. It means separating accountability from abuse. You can admit a mistake without attacking your character. You can acknowledge a flaw without defining yourself by it. When you replace "I failed" with "I learned," your nervous system relaxes, your mind opens instead of closing. Growth happens faster in a safe inner environment. Just like a plant grows better in healthy soil, your potential grows better when your inner voice encourages effort. Instead of shaming imperfection, there is a quiet courage in being gentle with yourself during difficult moments. When things go wrong, your instinct may be to be hard on yourself, thinking pressure will push you forward. But pressure without compassion leads to burnout. Kindness creates endurance. It allows you to stay with the challenge instead of running from it. When you say to yourself, "This is hard, but I can handle it," something shifts. You stop fighting your own emotions, and start working with them. That cooperation between mind and heart is where resilience lives. Where you speak to yourself shapes how safe you feel inside your own body. Constant criticism keeps you on edge, always waiting for the next internal attack. Kindness tells your system it's okay to rest, to try again, to be human. Over time, this changes how you show up in the world. You become less defensive, less reactive. You don't need to prove yourself constantly because you are no longer trying to outrun your own judgment. That inner safety makes life feel lighter, even when circumstances are heavy. When self-kindness becomes a habit, failure stops feeling like a dead end. It becomes feedback instead of a verdict. You don't collapse inward when things don't go as planned. You adjust, you learn, you continue. The voice inside you becomes a guide rather than a critic. It asks helpful questions instead of throwing accusations. What can I do differently next time? What did this teach me? That shift keeps you moving forward without draining your spirit. As this habit deepens, you begin to trust yourself more. You know that no matter what happens, you won't abandon yourself internally. That trust is powerful. It allows you to take risks without fear of self-punishment. It gives you permission to grow at your own pace. When your inner voice becomes supportive, you stop needing external reassurance to feel steady. You carry encouragement with you wherever you go, and that quiet support makes each step feel lighter, calmer, and more grounded. The seventh key point is ending every day with closure, because most of the heaviness you wake up with did not begin in the morning. It followed you from the night before you lie down, but your mind stays standing. Conversations replay, worries line up, unfinished emotions wait for attention. Sleep comes, but rest does not. When a day is left open, it quietly leaks into the next one. Closure is the habit of telling your mind, this day is done. Not perfectly handled, not fully resolved, but complete enough to release. Most people treat days like open tabs in a browser, leaving dozens running in the background, wondering why everything feels slow. Each unresolved thought uses a little bit of energy. Each unprocessed emotion hums quietly under the surface. Closure does not require answers to everything. It requires acknowledgement. You pause and recognize what happened, what you felt, what you learned. You don't judge it. You don't fix it all. You simply name it. That simple act tells the mind it no longer needs to stay alert, guarding unfinished business. Ending the day with closure means giving your experiences a place to land. Without that, emotions float around aimlessly, bumping into your thoughts at random moments. A small disappointment turns into irritation the next day. A minor worry grows overnight into anxiety. Closure gathers these loose ends and gently sets them down. It might look like gratitude for one small win, forgiveness for one mistake, or acceptance of one thing you could not change. These are not rituals for productivity, they are acts of emotional hygiene. There is a quiet relief in closing a day intentionally. It feels like setting down a heavy bag you didn't realize you were carrying. You stop demanding that tomorrow fix what today could not. You allow today to be what it was, nothing more, nothing less. This habit teaches your mind that it doesn't have to solve life all at once. It only needs to be present for one day at a time. That realization alone reduces pressure and brings a sense of order to the chaos. Closure also changes how you relate to mistakes. When you don't close the day, mistakes follow you like shadows, growing larger in the dark. When you acknowledge them before rest, they shrink back to their true size. You see them clearly without exaggeration. You can say, this didn't go well, and I'm still okay. That sentence carries immense power. It allows learning without punishment, growth without shame. Tomorrow becomes a new page, not a continuation of self-criticism. Ending the day with closure builds trust between you and your mind. Your mind learns that you will not ignore it, but you also won't let it spiral endlessly. You listen, then you set boundaries. This balance creates calm. Over time, your thoughts become less frantic at night because they know they will be heard. Sleep becomes deeper, not because life is suddenly easy, but because your inner world feels safe enough to rest. As this habit becomes natural, mornings feel different. You don't wake up already tired. You don't feel like you are catching up before the day even begins. Each day starts lighter because the previous one was laid to rest properly. You move forward without dragging emotional leftovers behind you. Life still brings challenges, but they arrive one at a time, not stacked on top of unresolved days. And in that steady rhythm of closing and beginning, you create space for clarity, peace, and quiet, strength to grow. And when you look at all of this together, you begin to see something clearly. A lighter life is not built by changing everything around you. It is built by changing how you carry what is already there. You stop fighting reality, so your energy returns. You stop replaying the past, so your mind comes back home. You choose progress, so movement replaces pressure. You release the need to be understood, so your inner voice grows steady. You give your best without clinging to outcomes, so effort feels clean. You speak to yourself with kindness, so growth feels safe. You close each day with intention, so tomorrow has space to breathe. None of these habits are loud, but together they create a quiet strength that doesn't depend on circumstances. Life will still challenge you. Some days will still feel heavy, but now the weight will no longer sit on your chest. It will sit in your hands, manageable, intentional, temporary. You won't rush to escape discomfort or demand instant peace. You will meet moments as they are, respond with clarity, and move forward without dragging unnecessary weight behind you. That is not resignation. That is maturity. That is inner leadership. So as you step back into your life, carry this with you. You don't need to fix everything to feel lighter. You only need to stop holding on to what no longer deserves your energy. Day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice, you can live with more ease without losing depth, more calm without losing ambition, more softness without losing strength. And when life feels heavy again, as it sometimes will, you'll know exactly where the weight comes from and exactly how to set it down.